Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Yamuna Tira Banachari. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Yamuna Tira. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvarajagacharya Sata Shishimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Premse kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopnath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mayapur Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Gangamai ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrindi ki jai. Gaura Premananda. Hari Hari Bolo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga and His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. My Kindle doesn't have any battery, so that means I don't have the commentaries. Anyway, I do, but there's no. Okay, thank you. So we're in the 10th canto, which is Krishna Pleases His Devotees, chapter 48, and we're on text 5. Sa Majanalepa Dukula Bhushana Shrag Gandha Tambula Sarusavadibihi Prasaditatmo Pasasaramadhavam Sa Vida Lilotsmita Vibramekšitai Samanjalnale Padukula Bush. Oh, I know. Oh. Samanjanale Padukula Bhushana Shraganda Tambula Sadhu Savadibi Prasaditatmo Pasasara Madhavam Savrida Lilotsmita Vibramekšitai Samajanale Padukula Bhushana Shraganda Tambula Sudasavadibihi Prasaditatmo Pasasara Madhavam Savrida Lilotsmita Vibramekšitai Samanjanale Padukula Bhushana Shraganda Tambula Sadhu Sudha Savadibi Prasaditatmo Pasasara Madhavam Savrida Lilotsmita Vibramekšitai Samajanale padukula pushana. Shrakanda tambula sudasavadipi. Prasaditama wasapsasaramadavan. Savridali lochmita vabramekšitai. Samanjanale padukula bhushana. Shrakanda tambula sudasavadibi. Prasaditatmas pasasara madhavam. Savrida litsnos mitavabhyam ikshitai. Anybody else? Sa, she, Trivakra. Majana, by bathing. Halepa, anointing. Dukula, dressing in fine garments. Bhushana, with ornaments. Shrak, garlands. Ganda, perfume. Tambula, betel nut. Suda asava, drinking fragrant liquor. Adibihi, and so on. Prasadita, prepared. Atma, her body. Upasasara, she approached. Madhavam, Lord Krishna. Savrida, shy. Lila, playful. Utsmita, of her smiles. Vibrama, exhibiting the allurement. Ikshitai, with glances. So translation. Trivakra prepared herself by bathing, anointing her body, and dressing in fine garments, by putting on jewelry, garlands, and perfume, and also by chewing betel nut, drinking fragrant liquor, and so on. She then approached Lord Madhava with shy, playful smiles and coquettish glances. So we can repeat. Trivakra prepared herself by bathing, anointing her body, and dressing in fine garments, by putting on jewelry, garlands, and perfume, and also by chewing betel nut, drinking fragrant liquor, and so on. She then approached Lord Madhava with shy, playful smiles and coquettish glances. So purport by the servants of Srila Prabhupada, very short. It is clear from this verse that the ways a woman prepares for sexual enjoyment have not changed in thousands of years. Thank you, Gurudev. I really appreciate it. Oh, okay. So I'm going to read the commentaries by the acharyas on this verse, and then I'm going to go to 6 as well. And in fact, maybe I'll just go ahead and do that, and then I'll go through all the commentaries for verses 5 and 6. Ahuya kanta navasangama hriya vishankitam kankana bushite kare pragrihya shayam adivesha ramaya remenule parpana punya leshaya. Translation. Calling forward his beloved, who was anxious and shy at the prospect of this new contact, the Lord pulled her by her bangled hands onto the bed. Thus he enjoyed with that beautiful girl, whose only trace of piety was her having offered anointment to the Lord. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that the words Nava Sangama Riya indicate that Trivakra was in fact a virgin girl at this point. She had been a deformed hunchback, and the Lord had recently transformed her into a beautiful girl. Therefore, although clearly lusting after Sri Krishna, she was naturally shy and anxious. So we'll read the Acharya's commentaries. Vishwanath, and this is on 5, which are basically just commentary. They're not, they're basically descriptive, and then we'll go into 6. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur shares that she prepared her body, Atma, for enjoyment by applying agaru, incense, and other items. And Jiva Goswami comments that she anointed her body with sandalwood paste and perfumes made from sandalwood, etc. Sudasasava means honey. Slowly she approached Krishna, even though he was the consort of Lakshmi, Madhavam. How can one describe how he is controlled by his mercy to the fallen? Sanatan Goswami shares that the ointment Anulepa was made of sandalwood and kumkum. Special fragrance, gandha, is made from sandalwood, agaru, and other substances. Sudha means thick milk, slightly warm. Or Sudasava means honey. Adabi indicates tilak and kajal and other accessories. The list is in order of increasing excellence or in order of dressing the body. She approached the beloved of Lakshmi, Madhavam, slowly, upasasara. This indicates her great fortune, or Madhavam indicates he who is endowed with various types of beauty, sweetness, and cleverness, who appeared in the Madhu dynasty to manifest his unlimited qualities as Bhagavan. And so now we'll go to the commentaries for text 6. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur shares the words fearful and new association, Navasangam, indicate for the less intelligent that Kubja had never been enjoyed by anyone else, which is very significant. Though she was beautiful, she was protected because of her hunchback. She had a small amount of credit because she had offered unguents to Krishna. But she did not have piles of credits like the sadhana siddhas among the Vraja women and Mathura women. And then Jiva Goswami shares that her body had previously become transformed into that of a girl of exceptional beauty by the power of his touch. Because her body was tender, he grasped her by her bangles. The cause of such mercy to her was her speck, lesha, of devotion. She had offered him anointment previously. Or the phrase can be divided, anuleparpana punya laishaya, because she was the best type of devotee in offering ointments. She had offered the ointment to Bhagavan Krishna indirectly and at a special time. Sanatan Goswami shares that Vamaya, meaning beautiful instead of Ramaya, indicates that she was qualified and had a form suitable for enjoyment for the Lord, or that she had not developed excellence of prema that other devotees, Vama, meaning eager, even by seeing him. The words Kantam, Navasangama, and Vamaya indicate the mercy of the Lord. He called her and took her forcibly by his hand, since she did not come forward. Since she wore bangles, he held her hands above the bangles, since her arms were tender. He was merciful not only because she was beautiful, but because of her bhakti. She had offered him ointment with devotion, punya, or she offered ointment which was greater than punyas, like sacrifices, which were like a drop of water in the ocean compared to her offering. Or the phrase can be divided, anula parpana punya la ishaya, because she was the best type of devotee in offering ointment. Since she had offered the ointment to Bhagavan Krishna indirectly and at a special time. So Omagyana Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I was thinking about this, and I've been thinking about this, how this is such a very unique story. And the fact is that you won't find any other instance of this outside of the gopis in Vrindavan and Dwarka. And it's also in the 10th canto. So it's very significant. And I was thinking about this in the context that this is really not a story about intimate or sexual interaction with Krishna and a female, but this is really about the power of devotional service, right? And then also not judging things externally, because we could look at Kubja, who had a crooked body and was of a low class, but, and thinking that she has some material desire, and in part maybe so, but ultimately, when she sees Krishna and Balaram, she's in love with Krishna. And she wants to give everything to him. And so, like I was thinking the correlation between the verse before when Krishna is acting, according, or, his manners are imitating the manners of human society. And, he's acting like a human, which Gurudev talked about. And so naturally, according to her social position and the rituals of society, and she's preparing herself, like she thinks what would be appropriate in being attracted to Krishna. But ultimately, for me, what this is about is the power of devotional service and how Krishna will take our material crookedness and through this process of devotional service, straighten us out so that we can fully give our heart to Krishna, right? Because, and taking all those impurities, and how overwhelming and amazing it is that when we move towards Krishna and we make an attempt to connect with him, that he's willing to look past our faults and find that minute piece of devotion within our hearts and take it and help us develop our relationship with him. That he's willing to look at all the anartas within the heart and, guide us through the mercy of the spiritual master. And that, for me, is, so significant because I've shared many times that, it's just overwhelming to have somebody, and I'm sure that Prabhupada was very similar, but, look past your faults. It's not that they don't see them, but they look past those faults, and then they work to encourage the gifts and the talents and the devotion that we have internally and encourage those to come out and take over, right? And so in looking at this whole situation with Kubja, and her situation is that, and understanding that if we approach Krishna and that we give him everything, especially our heart and our mind, that he'll eradicate all these unwanted things. And then the other thing that's significant is understanding the difference between love in the material world and love in the spiritual world. Love in this material world is all about what we can obtain, what we can get out of it, whereas love towards Krishna is what we can give. And you can see that in Kubja, is that, she, and the difference, like Mother Rudrani was talking about this too, is that the difference between Kubja and the washerman. And even, what came to mind for me with the Brahmanas and the wives of the Brahmanas is that out of fear, the Brahmanas and the washerman, maybe the washerman just was arrogant because he was, attached to serving Kamsa, but, they do this service and they're not willing to take any chances. But Kubja was willing to, I'm assuming could have even been killed for taking Kamsa's precious oils and all these other things and giving them, and garlands and all these things, giving them to Krishna. Right? But she didn't care because, she was connected with Krishna immediately and could understand that this is a great personality and had so much, then subsequently being straightened by her, and her real beauty realized from that whole process, how grateful of course she's going to give him everything, including herself. That's all I've got, but you can have that. You can take that it belongs to you. So that's the difference between love in this material world and in the spiritual world. And we can see that through Kubja's example. And again, this is so unique in her relationship with him, having this intimate level of a relationship outside of the gopis in Vrindavan and the queens in Dwarka. It's so incredibly unique. You won't find it anywhere else. But it's because it's showing again the power of not just, the sexual intimacy apparently, but this power of devotion. And so, this process, by removing all the misunderstandings and layers of unwanted things in the heart, the ego, the intelligence, all these things, to develop our pure love for Krishna, and then showing us what our real priority is. Our real priority is to become Krishna conscious. But also, in thinking about this, because this is something I'd asked my spiritual master about recently, because he said something that was so, because we hear things so many times, but then every once in a while, or after some time, it clicks, and there's those aha moments. And one of the things that he shared was that, is setting our, almost like a sankalpa internally of becoming Krishna conscious to help others, that should be our life. Right? And we know that. We know that, the whole process about coming Krishna consciousness is to help others and, show compassion and to reach out because of the, misguided intentions of everybody in this material world. But actually thinking about taking the sankalpa, or the intention within the heart, to become Krishna conscious so that I can become compassionate and that I can share this with other people, is just, a whole nother level of, because at least for me, what I've been doing is I've been working on just trying to become Krishna conscious myself without considering the fact that I'm doing that to ultimately help other people. I mean, yes, I want to do that. I want to help other people, but somehow making this, the intention of my devotional life, and you can see that in Prabhupada and all his great devotees, is that the reason he did that, that he came to the West, was to give this Krishna consciousness so that we could heal the world. And certainly we should heal ourselves. He also talks about that in the Bhagavad Gita, that we should learn to swim. Because if you try to save somebody when you don't even know how to swim yourself, you're going to drown. And it's important because we are valuable. We are part and parcel of Krishna. Our soul is reflective of that we are part, and it's so we're valuable. We're these vessels of gifts and intelligence and love and devotion and talents and everything that Krishna's given us. And so we need to honor that. But at the same time, we realize, the significance of why we're ultimately doing this. And I was also thinking that, this is, if you think about it, this is reflective of, going through Kubja and then going through to the gopis and the queens of Dwarka, and especially to Radharani, that this is her mood. This is her mood of compassion, is that she wants to bring everybody to Krishna's lotus feet. I mean, she's special. Thank you. Yeah, sure. That this mood of Srimati Radharani is to give Krishna to everybody. And we can see that because when Lord Chaitanya came, who is non-different than Krishna, he came with the mood of Srimati Radharani. And certainly because he wanted to experience that special and unique love that Srimati Radharani had for Krishna. But also, what does Lord Krishna do? Lord Chaitanya do? He opens the storehouse of love of God that is such a sacred, hidden treasure, but he's willing to open that. And that's Srimati Radharani's mood. And so that's the whole point of all these stories, is to learn how to love Krishna, to learn how to give, right? Learn how to give what it is that Krishna wants, and learn how to love Krishna the way he wants. And in the mood of understanding that what he really ultimately wants is he wants all his disconnected parts and parcels to be reconnected to him. And so, and so we find, at least for myself, that one of the challenges of this is that, we're so attached to the results. And at least speaking for myself, is that something that I find, is so built into our psychology from being in this material world so long. So trying to shift that consciousness from what can I get out of this to what can I give can be a big challenge, because we're so attached to results. And I was thinking about that because my mom, is struggling with her relationship with my sister, her other daughter, and my sister basically hadn't spoken to her for like 4 months for something my mother didn't even really do. She accused my mom of doing something that she actually didn't do, so she chose not to speak to her. And so they're slowly trying to rebuild, but what I've been trying to do is help my mom become detached, and she sees that she has to become detached, because if she doesn't, it's going to be too painful for her. In the context that, we've heard from Prabhupada that a mother's love for the child is really the closest thing to Krishna consciousness. So my sister's disconnecting from her is so incredibly painful, but she also can't go through that again. And so what we did in having discussions about this is I encouraged her to chant, which she's done periodically over the year, but then she said that she would try chanting 20 mantras every night for 2 weeks. And I said, and so you'll see the results from that. And so I've been trying to help her, but it was really interesting because they had made the arrangement where they weren't going to spend Thanksgiving together, because there had been this separation and there had been some discussion. But then, and this was right after I'd told her to chant and, let's just see what happens. So Krishna made the arrangement that my sister's, because she was going to come up here to North Carolina. She hasn't talked to me either in the last 4 months. But she was going to go visit my father and his wife. But Krishna made the arrangement that car part in my sister's car went out and it was going to have to be repaired, so she wasn't going to be able to have, come up here. So ultimately what that means was she got in touch with my mom and asked if she wanted to do Thanksgiving. And then my mom, I could see, because of the attachment, got really excited and said, oh, it's the universe making all these arrangements and all these other things. And after discussion, I said, it was actually Krishna. And she said, yeah, I could understand that. But the very next day, my sister made some side comment, about, and being irritated with the fact that she's old and couldn't remember what she said, and my mom was taken right back to not knowing what to expect from her, and right back into this conversation that we could have about this detachment. And, and so my next conversation is going to be around how we can't, and encouraging to her to chant, is that we can't do it, we can't become detached from something unless we become attached to something. And that this chanting is going to be able to help you work through this and become, more of an observer and understand, because we had the conversation. I said, she's had so many mothers. You're one in this life. Step back and look at her like she could be somebody else's daughter. Look at her like she's a soul and care for her. And, so that she can become detached mentally, still have that love for her, but she's got a mother's love. It's going to be hard to do that. But the reason I'm saying this, and around all of this, is that, helping others discover, how to get out of the pain and the suffering in this material world. And obviously, one of the key ways that we can do that is this chanting of the Maha Mantra, because that is our path back home. That's our main avenue, back home, and for purifying our motive for everything that we do, right? And purifying our consciousness so that we, and to become more compassionate. And this chanting of the Maha Mantra is non-different than Krishna. So when we chant, it's an opportunity to have an intimate, personal, and I'm not saying sexual, but intimate personal relationship with Krishna. This chanting reveals our relationship with Krishna, and all the form, the name leads to the form and the pastimes and the qualities of Krishna. So all of that's revealed, through our chanting of the Maha Mantra, but how attentive we are in the chanting of the Maha Mantra. How personal we make it, how intimate we make it, how close we choose to chant the Maha Mantra is how close we'll be given the opportunity, because Krishna is not going to just open up and give his heart and let, him become the charioteer driver, taking up a quote-unquote Shudra position, or taking an intimate relationship with somebody who's, on a lower stratum, apparently, unless our devotional service is pure. And so this chanting of the Maha Mantra is what carries us to that place. It's that avenue, it's that, I've said many times, it's that umbilical cord that reconnects us and feeds us spiritually in our connection with, Krishna. And so, again, the depth in which we are attentive to that, and then expanding from that attentiveness in our devotional service, attentiveness and thinking about how can I give this devotional service, like our mood, like not doing all these things to get something out of it, or doing services because they're what I call the pretty services, where you can get accolades for doing them, right? Not doing all the pretty services, but doing all the services, no matter what they are, to give something to Krishna, to do something for the devotees. This is, I really actually am totally, truly grateful for my father, because one of the things he did train me up to do, and helping him work on the car or whatever other things that he taught me to do, is that you should be able to think about what I need before I ask for it and give it to me, which is actually first-class service, is to try to think ahead of time what somebody may need. And so it's trained me up to think like that, or even driving. When you're driving and you're changing the clutch, you should do it in a way where you don't affect anybody in the car, and if you've ever tried to learn how to drive a clutch, you know what it can be like, but, you should always make those adjustments so that nobody's affected, so they can't even tell that you're driving a clutch car, right? So again, this first-class service can go into, like, if you're cooking, yes, for the deities, but you're also cooking for the devotees. It's what you can give in your heart through your devotional service so that you can practice that, learning how to love Krishna and give everything. And no matter what it is, I want to clean the floor, not just because it has to be cleaned, but so the devotees and the spiritual master don't have to, walk on leftover rice after a festival, or a sacrifice, right? Or like I think when I go downstairs and I pull a backdrop, I pull the hanger out and separate it so that when it has to be put back on, it's easy to find it. And you don't have to struggle to pull it out of all the middle of the, and pulling half of them off the, rack, or the same thing with the clothes, trying to put them in a nice, neat and fashion, or trying to put the jewelry in a way that is neat and organized and beautiful, so that when the devotees go in, they're inspired to pull the jewelry and it's easy to find. All these, and I'm not saying that this is just myself, but we can do this, or, placing your shoes in a way that people don't have to step over them just to get into the door. There's all these ways that we can think about how we can give in our devotional service. And I think for me, that's the power of the story of Kubja, and why it's significant that her specific situation is in the 10th canto, along with the gopis and the queens in Dwarka, is that it's a very special circumstance of showing the power of devotional service, and how important it is for us to think about and see what it means to have a devotional heart and give everything to Krishna, and then how he reciprocates, and be joyful in the fact, and knowing, that we can have this reciprocation is just like, it's just so overwhelming, because I know from my position that I'm lower than Kubja, but he's still willing to give me this opportunity to become Krishna conscious, and look, past my inebrities and see what's really in my heart. And I mean, that's just overwhelming, because we all have those anartas in our hearts and, these misguided things. And, we have a tendency also, that's something else that you've mentioned recently, Gurudev, in one of your classes, is not seeing things externally and not judging a book by its cover, right? It's so often we can misjudge, just because of the way somebody says something or does something, we're assuming we understand what their motive is, right? I don't know why it came to mind, but I was also thinking, like, I'm wearing orange, and I know that some people think, or may think that I'm a sannyasi, right? That somehow I'm some sannyasini, but what they may not understand that for me, I'm really enlivened by colors. Like, I'm really enlivened by colors. Like, sewing for the deities or matching colors is something that's really important to me. But my point is that it's so easy to misinterpret the externals without really understanding somebody's motive. So it's really important. And that's something, that we could easily do in the story of Kubja, is assume that her motive was just to be with Krishna intimately, materially. But it's not. She's given his heart, or else he would not have had that interaction with her. And she's given it fully on some level and brought her up to show us that he can correct even our crookedness. He can straighten us out and give us this pure love that we're looking for. That's what my mom's looking for. She's really into Jane Austen. And because she said, yeah, I know, right? She said, I want to give up everything. I'm so tired of all this. I'm not coming back. I've been having a conversation with your Krishna, and I'm not coming back to this material world. I just want to go float. We had this whole conversation about the Brahmajyoti. But ultimately, Krishna is helping her become detached from this material world. And the reason I bring up Jane Austen is because she said the only thing is that I thought I would have this, what is it? Soul love, or like, your one love, soulmate. Thank you. You find her soulmate because of all, she did it when she was young, reading, Jane Austen. And so slowly I'm going to be, trying to help her understand that the person that you really love and that soulmate is Krishna, right? And that's, what we have, again, in seeing this story of, developing our love and letting go and attachments of all these things, even attachments of how we think things should be done, and giving everybody their individual, space to, express the way they want to perform their devotional service, right? So I don't know if we have maybe a minute or two. I think those are pretty much all my thoughts. Just overwhelmed by Kubja and her story, and realizing at least what that means for me personally, of having this opportunity to straighten myself out and my crookedness, crooked mentality and behavior and ego and all these other things, and really get an opportunity to love Krishna, because that's something I've really been thinking about, is actually probably for about maybe a year now, of like, how can I really learn to love Krishna the way he wants to be loved, and not just the way I want to be loved, and expecting to get something back from him and satisfied by him by my devotional service. And so I think that's, another thing about attachments is they're really underlying causes, expectations. We have expectations that certain things will, happen according to our results, and our results, our desires for specific results within, practicing. But it's a process. It's a slow, progressive process, because Krishna helps us over time, slowly. I always see it kind of like an hourglass, where we're just full of material desires, and it just slowly, we feed through this, like the butterfly, through the, the pressure of coming out of its cocoon, through the pressure of Krishna consciousness, out to the other side, where we're actually able to find our true self. So, all glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the Association of the Devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Radha Golokananda Ki Jai.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Aravindanalaya Taksham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalem Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham
Jami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Namaham Vishnu Jaya Krishna Prasthaya Mutanzai Shimate Bhakti Vedanta Sammeni Chitamane Shimate Bhakti Vedanta Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvare Pacha Negiri Visesha Shunyavati Matsachare Sacharane Jaya Shri Krishna Jai Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Nara Siva Sari Go Bhakta Vrinadaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadada Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadada Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Jai, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Goloka na 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 na, Goloka na na Radhe. Jaya Radha Goloka na na na, Goloka na na Radhe. Jaya Radha, hey Jaya Radhe, Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Jai Om Vishnupad.
Darpanam Arjanam Bhavamahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Page 12. Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis tatrapidani amita smarane nakala etadrishita vakripa bhagavan mamapi durdaiva midrishami hajjani nanuraga trinadapi sunichena turorapi suhishuna amani namana dena Hirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim. Spectacular. Isakamaye Nama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Atnahoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Mishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Babada Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrishim Vachintaya Nayanam Gadarusharaya Varanam Gadgadaraya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahena Me Ashlishya Vapadamritam Manastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatatadava Vidatam Pato Mat Prananatastu Saeva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge, increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and enables us to easily, fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational standing of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more lower than a tree, void of all offense of false prestige, and should be ready to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Shastasika Ki Jai. And a reminder that we'll be starting a reading group on Friday evening from 6 to 7, and we'll be here in the temple room, and we'll be reading the Prabhupada Lilamrita. So everyone is invited. Please come, 6 to 7 on Friday evenings. Hare Krishna.